For 14 years, my country was in the dark. All schools were closed during the Civil War. No books, no teachers, no classroom. Generation of students lost.
The teaching corps was just devastated. I mean, there were just no teachers.
And this has resulted now in very poor quality education in the classroom.
We have a national agenda to achieve quality and to produce quality students. So in order to produce quality students, you obviously need to strengthen the teacher education because, like I always say, we are who we are because of the caliber of teachers we once had.
So the Liberia Teacher Training Program has worked with the government to train teachers, working with the rural teacher training institutions to try to certify teachers.
The aim of LTTP is to raise the quality of teacher education so that children have a better chance of a better education. And the second thing is to improve the policy environment, so to establish robust policies which mean that people know what to do rather than reinventing the wheel.
So if we can strengthen the teacher education to produce the kind of quality teachers to give great instructional delivery, then chances are we will produce quality students. So it is extremely important.
We work very closely with Ministry of Education, the county education officers, the rural teacher training institutes and the universities.
Education now in Liberia is important to everyone.
I'm a student teacher at the KRTTR. We are about 251 student teachers. I'm learning education to teach our Liberian children to be a youthful citizen for tomorrow.
The program had a duration of 9 months, and we came together and said teacher training program should be longer, 18 months. This gave more opportunity for practice teaching.
As a result of the poor quality of education, many young people did not get a chance to go to school, and so there are very high levels of illiteracy. We've been really busy in the last few years on a national reading campaign. It's really important that we get out into the schools, that the schools teach reading every day, that parents are involved in the children's reading activities.
From first grade to third grade, before they were not doing well in reading. They were not having complete reading skills. But for now, through the efforts of the LTTP, students are well prepared. They are well prepared in reading.
The early childhood education is important because that's the foundation. LTTP right now with the early reading grade program in our schools, they are working with 3,000 students with 128 teachers.
There are many different ways in which people can be involved in the reading campaigns. There are sort of the very obvious events that we hold, so they have banners and book distributions and t-shirt distributions and things like that. We are connected to the National Spelling Bee. We have established here in Monrovia quite a number of partners who go to schools and read to children.
One premise we always believe is that reading people is an informed people make informed decisions. So we feel that in this country we can produce or increase the literacy rate, it will be good for us in the long run.
So another way that people can be involved in the reading campaign is through the use of reading rooms, which we've established in a number of schools, also a number of community centres. And what we have done is really very simple. It's provide chairs, tables, bookcases, and most importantly, books.
Every time we see a book, it's a textbook. If a child is not reading for fun, he or she will never become a reader for life. And so we are producing books now that are culturally relevant, they are interesting, they can be read for pleasure. That's where the library comes in.
When you look at this country now, it's very different from the country that I grew up in and went to school in. Rebuilding that requires access to data and information that can allow you to make some very sensible decisions. Until recently, very few people could tell you how many schools we had, let alone how many children, how many teachers. A lot of decision making was really driven by guesswork. So you can imagine the huge gaps in terms of resources and the priorities in terms of allocating those resources.
EMIS is Educational Management Information System. Our process data, analyze data, I also go on the field to train principals and teachers. At the end of the training, we distribute a questionnaire to them.
So there's a whole set of reform initiatives that is highly dependent on the kind of infrastructure that we're able to build. With the GIS, Geographic Information System, you are able to target resources based upon needs. Otherwise, you're working in the dark with the biometric fully operational. Every morning, when the teacher comes to school, they're able to swipe in. And before they leave, they swipe out. But we're trying to weed out some of the bad practices that cropped up as a result of the disintegration of the system during the war years.
When the war came in, I was a teenager, just come out of high school, just entered college, and the war came. More than 20 years later, I came back. The biometric system is the most effective tool that will keep our teachers check and balances. They come to school on time, they leave as the time required.
Absenteeism is linked to pay. I can guarantee you that most people will come to school.
Ebola disrupted school because some students who would have attended school that time, they were not able to attend school.
Teachers were not able to go do that training on time. Parents who were living in the community, all of us were afraid of one another.
And we are trying to really to spring back, trying to get the kids back, off the streets and get them back into some formal academic setting.
Before LTTP could come, the illiteracy rate in Liberia, it was on the increase. But for now, although it has not been eradicated in totality, but it has been minimized. I attended the training program at Kakata. When I went to college.
I think one of the greatest gains is that section of lesson planning. Whenever a teacher who has participated in the LTT program interacts with a teacher who has not participated, they have a comparative advantage.
LTTP gave me the resources to be a best teacher I can be.
We know that we have a long way to go in Liberia in building the quality of the teaching force. But through this program, we have found that reading scores have doubled and tripled, and that teachers are actually learning how to teach.
I think it is incumbent upon us now to have a sustainability plan in place so that we will be able to stand and move forward, and those things that they have started, we will continue and even go beyond. So I think their contribution towards teacher education in Liberia has been significant and highly appreciated.
Everything we do evolves around providing opportunities for children to learn, because it's the foundation of any democratic and any viable and sustainable society. Without it, you are bound to be caught up in one set of conflict after the other because the people are denied opportunity. This is a great equalizer in terms of the chance and the opportunity to improve oneself, one community, and one's country.
Liberia used to be amongst nations that produce quality as per education. So right now we are aiming at surpassing where we were pre-war. And if we continue with the right support, with the right commitment, with the right attitude, I think we will accomplish it.